How are you supposed to manage a trade which starts great but then gets compromised along the way? Well, in this video we got the right example, so stick with me as I'm going to explain you how you can do the same. Let's begin by going back to the initial setup. Today I'm looking at the Euro-Canadian dollar on the 15 minutes time frame, and I'm looking at a very interesting opportunity. It's a bit tricky, but I'll explain it to you. So I'm using the Breakout Pivotal Bars, the Sentiment Index, and the Levels and Zones to build my setup. Actually, the Levels and Zones is going to be used as the extra confirmation to the underlying setup that I'm about to build. If you want to test the indicators yourself and more indicators as well, you find the link in the description down below. So the setup is going to be like this. I'm looking for an uptrend movement because, as you can see, this pair has been uptrending for quite some time, and it has been sitting on this beautiful major support line down here, and then it's trying to push through this resistance level up here. These levels are the one, and their respective buy and sell zones are the ones that are displayed by the levels and zones, of course, and these are very major support and resistance levels. You see how the price likes to visit them multiple times. Okay, so the setup is going to look like this. What I see is that we have an impulse here and a consolidation here. Okay. At the bottom we have the sentiment index, which is trending down. So I'll draw a trend line for you. Okay. So this is trending down, and I'll come back to it in a moment. Since I'm starting from this point, and by looking at the overall price action, it is true that this is an impulse and a consolidation, but I also see that we have another impulse here previously and another consolidation. So what I see here, these two impulses and the two consolidation, we can see them as a single impulse, so all the way back down here and here. This is the impulse, and this is going to be the consolidation. Okay, and we need to adjust the trend line to touch the highest points in the consolidation. So the starting point will be this one, and the second point will be this one. Okay. This is the impulse and this is the consolidation. It's like kind of like this. Okay, this is the impulse and consolidation, and as you can see, the first point here in the sentiment index is also the first point in the consolidation, second point. Okay, it's not always the case, but by looking at the price action that was going on here, this is what makes most sense to me. Okay, so what I'm looking at is a breakout to the upside of this consolidation, and look at it. If it breaks up, it means that this resistance becomes a support, which is absolutely phenomenal, because when we have this kind of setups, we see one impulse, then a consolidation, and then another impulse. So it moves quite rapidly and impulsively. And if we are then sitting above a support, it's going to increase the strength that the price has to move higher. Moreover, what I see down here, back to the sentiment index, is that the bullish sentiment index, the green one, is getting pushed toward the zero line. So it means that at a certain point in the future here, the sentiment index can do two things. The first one is that it breaks to the upside. So it breaks this trend line to the upside, okay? And so it means that we have a bullish market sentiment. And if at the same time of this break up we also have a break up of the consolidation with a green candle, these colors are the ones that the breakout pivotal bars assigns to the candles. So if we have a green candle, I mean, we want a green candle to be the one that breaks the consolidation, since we are looking to the upside. And if we have, so I was saying, if we have a break to the upside with a green candle, and at the same time we also have a break to the upside of the sentiment index, then we have the perfect setup, considering the fact that we also have this beautiful resistance line which would turn into a support. If instead the bullish sentiment comes to the zero line and then breaks to the downside, so it starts to be a bearish sentiment, like maybe in this case previously, then I'm not interested in the trade, because it probably means that the price will come down, and in this case I'm not interested in the trade, because when I see these setups here, I usually look for trend continuation. So as you can see, it happened in the past. So we got an impulse here, consolidation, another impulse, consolidation, impulse, consolidation. And what could happen next? Impulse, consolidation. So this is what I'm looking for. Everything is set. Let's just see how the price moves and if we get the trade. So we have a trade. We have a trade because we have the perfect setup that I was explaining before. The price has now broken to the upside, the sentiment index has broken as well, and we have a green candle and we are sitting above a support line. So if I draw this setup for you, it looks like this. The target is going to be like this. We take the previous impulse and we project it to the upside. So we start from the lowest point of this consolidation and we assume that it is this one and not the previous one. So we take the lowest point of this, let's call second minor consolidation, and we project it to the upside. So we end up at this level up here. Okay, regarding the stop loss, it depends. It depends on where you want to place it. If you want to be conservative, you can stay below this whole consolidation here, so that the price can come all the way down here and you're still into the trade. Today in this particular setup, I want to be a bit more aggressive. Actually, I'd like to be quite aggressive because I see that, as I said before, we are okay. This might work because, as I said before, we are now sitting above a support. And when these setups happens, they usually mean that the price, once it breaks to the upside, in this case, it moves quickly because it makes another impulse. So just like in this case, or in this case, or in this case, you see, within a short period of time, within a few candles, it makes a significant price movement, while during the consolidation, it takes a lot of time to make a minor movement. So we want to get involved when we have the impulses, and in this case we are going to get one, probably, because we got one first, a second one, a third one, and why not the fourth? The market always repeats itself. So we want to trade this to the upside like this. The risk reward is going to be 4.7, which is excellent. I just set my stop loss to be as low as the sell zone, you see, so that I just allow the price to come a little bit back down, and I believe I'm enough protected. This support line should protect us very, very strongly. Okay, the trade is now ready to start, and so I'll keep you posted as it goes along. We are now into the trade, and as you can see, the price is moving quite rapidly to the upside. This happens very frequently, as I was saying before, so it's not something surprising. This up movement is as well sustained by the sentiment index, which is increasing very rapidly, so we should expect this to continue. And I don't see any big issue with this trade. Of course, I need to keep track of it, so I keep it under control and I'll keep you posted on how it evolves. It looks like it has lost its impulsive strength because it's now moving sideways, but all the candles are still green, which means that they are bullish candles. Maybe it's just making another consolidation before a fifth impulsive movement, so we are within this minor consolidation probably. And moreover, it's basically also retesting this support down here. So we have a support, we have the buy zone. I don't know if you can see it. We have this green zone here that goes behind the trade setup here. This is the buy zone, which is being retested at least here and here. So it's all good. It has just lost its impulsive movement. It could happen, it's okay, but let's keep the trade open and see what happens next. We now have potentially some trouble because the price went down. It went all the way down to retest this support, this previous support, because it's no more a support here, but basically went all the way down to my entry price, slightly lower, but the concerning thing is that we now have a resistance, and this resistance means that if we want to reach the target, then the price must break this resistance. Okay, so I hope it's clear. If the price wants to reach this target, we have something in between us, the current level, and our objective, so the target up here. However, so you can do two things. The first one is to close the trade. We are at the profit, and so we can just close the trade, take the profit, and so we are 100% safe in this trade. If you want to be a bit more risky, but let me better define what risky means in this case, is that we can keep the trade open. Why I believe it is going to be a bit more risky, but not really that much, because as you can see, it happens also in the past. So in the past, at a certain point, we had an impulsive movement, then a consolidation, and then suddenly the consolidation turned into red candles with a resistance, but then it was eventually broken to the upside, and the same appeared here, and the same happened here, that it was broken to the upside and then again acted as resistance and then broken to the upside. So what I'm expecting, it's a bit risky, of course, because now we have some guaranteed money. Instead, I decide to stay into the trade because I believe that the initial setup is still intact, is valid. Of course, it's not the best setup, it's not the best price action that we are having right now. But as we look at the recent past, it happens here, it happened here, it happened here. So it looks like it's happening here. It's just making another consolidation. I did not move my stop loss to break even because I need to allow the price to come lower if it wants. This is why it's risky, because right now I'm not at break even. and I decided to stay into the trade. But by looking at the recent past, it happened, and in the end it ultimately got to the previous targets, which were always the projection of the previous impulse. So we should still get to our target. Let's see, I'll keep you updated, guys. So we got some more downtrend movement, but now it looks like we are back on the bullish side, even though we are still below this resistance, which is a major resistance. But it looks like with this green candle we are now to the bullish side of this trade. The point I'd like to comment is what happened here. So I believe that many traders here around this level here got scared because they fall into the emotional side of the trade, and so they got emotional, they got scared, and they decided to get out of the trade. They started selling. So many traders took their profits, which is legitimate, as I said before, and many traders started selling, short selling this pair. But I mean, the overall setup is to the upside, but many traders around this area got really emotional, and this is clearly identifiable by the price action, because it was something very weird to see this consolidation that starts like a smooth sideways movement and then suddenly turns to the downside quite rapidly. And then, as you can see, many skilled traders, when saw this happening, that many other traders, unskilled traders, beginner traders were selling, they started buying, and so they started buying again, and they are probably going to take some great profits if we eventually get at least to our target. It's, of course, it's not for granted, because we still need to get past this resistance line, but we should now be on the bullish side of the trade, because the candle is green, and also having a look down here, it looks like the market is turning bullish. Okay, so guys, I'll keep you posted. We were definitely right in our analysis, because as you can see now, the price has made its way through this resistance, which is now a support. So we are not at the target yet, but we see the target getting closer. What I see here is that the price tried to push higher, and then it failed, but then it eventually got through and then retested the level, as it happens always, and then it went through again at this current candle. We should definitely get to our target, because once we have this kind of setups and movements, we typically have the same length of the previous impulse, and so I'm expecting to reach the level. Of course, guys, now in my trading account I am at break even, because I can confidently move my stop loss to break even, because now we are above a support, which will prevent the price from falling lower. Do you see what happened here? So the price went through, past the resistance, it became a support. The next candle tried to come back down, in fact it did, but it couldn't be sustained, this kind of movement, and then in fact we are back up right now. So since this support will play a major help to us, then I can confidently put my stop loss at break even. So in the worst case scenario right now, I'm out with a profit, a tiny profit, but still a profit. I will not lose any money from this trade, and in the best case scenario I'm making a 4.7 return, which is excellent, and we are getting closer. Two more candles and we got to our target, guys. So we have closed the trade with an almost 5x return, which is absolutely excellent. The trade was a little bit tricky. because it started very well. We were supported by this support level here. Everything was perfect. Then got a little bit tricky, but this is where the rationale must be used, because if you understood, and if you just look at the recent past, you could have understood that this was absolutely legitimate. So this kind of price movement to the downside was absolutely legitimate, and you could have allowed the price to come a little bit lower, but still maintain the trade open like I did. Of course, you could have closed the trade and you were out with an excellent profit still, probably like 2x, which is excellent considering that the fact the trade got a little bit compromised. But I mean, you always avoid to get emotional. That is the most important thing. If you avoid to get emotional, as long as you avoid that, it's absolutely okay. You see something that compromises the trades, you get out. It's legitimate, and you can definitely do that, and you should definitely do that if you believe that is the best option for you. What I did was different. I believe that it made total sense, and in fact it paid out. I don't know whether you agree with me or not, so feel free to leave me your comment down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe as well if you didn't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.